Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to the channel. I am Spencer and I am here with my good friend Natasha, who has been here in Saranda for what, 7 years?
Well, came 7 years ago. I have been living here permanently for 6 years.
6 years. She was one of the first people that we met when we moved here to Saranda. And so I thought what a good opportunity it would be to have her on the channel to talk a little bit about her experience, what ended up bringing her to Albania, and to give you a little perspective, maybe not from our eyes, which are a little bit jaded at times, I think. The vacation mode hasn't quite worn off yet.
Yeah, mine has, that's for sure. But yeah, I came here initially 7 years ago to check it out. I had wanted to leave the US for a number of reasons, mostly political,
Yeah.
but also financial. You know, living in New York as a single woman, where I just didn't see it getting any easier. It was getting more difficult. And I decided to look around. I came from a family of immigrants, so I understood what it's like to leave your home country, to go different places. All my family in the US were from different places. And, you know, I've grown up with people who were, grew up under fascist and dictatorships and understood what that could be.
Yeah.
And that was one of the reasons I started looking around at other places to move. And, you know, I wanted to go somewhere in Europe, or, you know, but a lot of European countries are much more difficult to get residency, and the process is a lot longer. And I just happened to stumble upon a few people who were in Albania and writing about how it's much more friendly for Americans.
Mm-hmm.
And you can get 1 year residency, no questions asked, which is very unusual here.
It's very unusual.
In Europe. So I decided to just take a trip here by myself, and I came here for 3 weeks and traveled from the north to the south to see, and came to Saranda and absolutely fell in love with it.
It's an easy place to fall in love.
It is. It has so much. And yeah, it was different then, you know, 7 years ago. But I just decided that's it. I'm moving, selling everything, and coming here.
Tell me a little bit about your life in the States before you decided to pack up and move. I understand you were from the New York area, is that correct?
I was from New York, pretty much born and raised in New York, lived in New York City and out on Long Island. I was a single mother with my own business, worked in finance, mostly in New York City. So I knew who was coming into power, the joke of New York. And I did very well, but I worked extremely hard.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, it was really nonstop. And I got to the point where I said, this is not what I want my whole life to be. You
Right.
know, there's got to be an easier way to, and comes a time where you just have to enjoy. And I always dreamed of a place like this.
Me too.
You know, when
Me
I was
too.
a child, I was in Italy a lot, and there were places with the same scenery, the same beauty, and the calmness of a lifestyle that you don't have in New York at all. And then in the US, you know, it's just the gerbil wheel.
Right.
And I said, you know, I can live a lot more simply here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, so you mentioned it changing a lot in the 7 years that you've been here. I know even in just the year or so that Sam and I have been in Albania, it feels like there have been rapid progression.
Yes.
Tell me, what was it like starting your journey 6 years ago when you arrived and decided to make this a home base?
Well, there were not not even close to the amount of um, expats, foreigners that there are now. You know, there weren't as many opportunities for people who are now coming here because the tourist industry has been growing tremendously, and um, Albania has really been promoting that. It was a quieter town. Now, you know, summer times are very busy with tourists.
My understanding is that it used to really close down, almost like a ghost town during the winter.
You know, it did like pretty much any northern place. And perhaps because I came from Long Island,
Mm-hmm.
which had a big tourist industry, I was used to the fluctuations of,
Mm.
you know, summertime people coming in and then the winter quietness, which I personally like.
I love it. I love it. My favorite time of year here is over the winter
Yeah,
when it gets calm and nice and
quiet.
quiet.
Yeah.
But there's still, restaurants to eat at. It's not like a complete ghost town.
No, and it was when I first came here, you know, there were very few places that were open. There weren't a lot of, now there's a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
But I personally, one of the reasons I came to Albania also was I like the change of season.
Yeah.
I like that, you know, I don't have the harsh 4 feet of snow winter like New York,
Yeah.
but it's cold and it's different and the seasons change and you get to see the beautiful springtime, the summer, the fall is still fall here like in the US, and I wanted that, you know. I have family who live in very warm climates, and I just didn't want to live in a place that it was the same all the time.
Right.
So that's what I loved about Albania.
And you have the geographic diversity. You have the Alps up north.
Oh my God, yes.
You have the coast down here in the Riviera. You have the agricultural heartland in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the things that I've really come to appreciate is that you can really kind of get it all within this one easy to access country.
Right. A small country that has so much diversity. And one true feeling that I have about Albania is I stayed because of the people.
Mm.
That it was a very welcoming country, especially towards Americans. The people are warm and open once you get to know them.
There is a bit of a steely outer shell.
There is.
You know,
you won't find people like you won't walk into a place and everybody will smile at you right away. But when they care for you, when they get to know you, they sincerely are your friends.
Absolutely.
In a different way than, you know, in New York, it's like, oh yeah, come visit me, or, you know, I'll see you. Here they mean it,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I liked that about the culture here. So that's another, a real bonus about living in Albania.
And I think that is one of my favorite things about Albania. And I don't think that comes across well when people are doing their research. They see photos, and then they read about things like the mafia or,
God,
the
yes.
negative connotations that are pushed out through the media.
I mean,
and they think it's just some backwards place when, in fact, it's a really collective, loving culture.
It is, and it's changing a lot. You have to figure that it was a closed country until the early 90s, really. And So a lot of things, it's kind of like going in a wayback machine.
It is. It is. It is. Sam likes to say a lot that it feels like the 1980s here.
When I first came here, I was like, it's 1984.
Maybe he stole that line from you.
But that is changing. Albania is moving forward in so many ways. And it just has so much to offer, you know, and it's going to progress. It's going to keep going. And I feel like it's a new country in a way because of all the openness now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It feels like it's having it's a rebirth. It's a renaissance.
It is. It is.
So you mentioned when you were first scouting here, you took a road trip from the north to the south. What made you decide on Saranda?
Well, initially I had thought that I'd want to live closer to the north and perhaps Tirana or Durres, and yet Tirana, you know, it's for many people, it's a great city. There's culture, there's a lot to offer there. But for me, I've lived in New York City. It just wasn't.
You don't need the hustle bustle.
No, I didn't. And then going down the southern coast, going down south, I don't know. Here, it was just a feeling of home.
I felt that. I felt that too when we drove. We first drove over the hill, and I could see the sea. I had that intense feeling of, okay, this is it.
This is it.
This is it. Yeah.
And honestly, so many people I know who have moved here and have been here many years, and it's one of the first things people ask each other: what brought you here, or how did you feel? Why Saranda? And the first thing they say is, it felt like home. There's just something so beautiful about it, and geographically beautiful. Saranda isn't the most gorgeous city.
Architecturally, it's not the most gorgeous,
but all
where the sea meets the sky, you have Greece and Corfu right there, and those beautiful sunsets almost every single night.
And the most gorgeous beaches all around, and yet you drive 20 minutes?
Yeah, 20 minutes over the hill and you're in the mountains.
And you're in the mountains. And in the winter you see snow-capped mountains, and you can go to these small villages and meet people who are so welcoming, and just have a great Albanian meal and make friends.
Absolutely.
Really.
You've had a lot more experience traveling to the villages and exploring the region than I have. If I recall, you at one point offered tours, and we're doing a lot of tours and groups. Tell me a little bit about that experience and what you learned about the villages along the way.
Loved that experience. For me, it was about learning about the country and the people and the villages. Unfortunately, it's a lot like many places in the Balkans and throughout Europe. It's Italy or wherever that the villages are emptying out. People are leaving.
We have the brain drain.
Yes, and a lot so here. Yet, you'd come into a village and everybody was excited to see you. I could literally walk down the street with people, and people would be outside curious, like, these strangers doing here? And they'd be like, come in, have some Raki. And then they'd put out some fruit and, just little things. I mean, it was something that I've never experienced in the U.S., ever. Yeah. Even in my travels throughout Europe. Though I found many friendly people, not like that.
No, exactly.
And all the old ladies would invite me. They'd say, please stay over, please stay. It's just a completely different experience than I've had in so many places.
My language teacher, Lily, likes to say that in Albania, the home belongs to God and the guests.
And they do feel like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you go to any home in Albania and they throw out the red carpet for you, you know, just put out, just making you feel welcome, as long as you take your shoes off.
Yeah.
If you don't take your shoes off, you might not be welcome.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. I think we talked a little bit about why you were leaving the U.S., pace of life, and kind of the growing concerns over the political climate. If you don't mind, I'm curious to dive a little deeper on that. We talked to a lot of Americans who are feeling a similar level of threat and panic right now about feeling a need to have a GTFO, get the F out strategy.
Understandable.
And I think a lot of people don't understand that Albania kind of is a place that can offer an exit path, but B, offer a mental escape from a lot of the chaos and the hamster wheel that you describe in the U.S.
That is 100%. You know, I felt it quite a while ago.
Tell me about that. Were there any key moments for you that...
When Trump won.
Yeah.
The first, I mean, that was a key moment for me. And I have to say, like, my parents were alive then, and like I've stated before, they both came from fascism and dictatorships, and they were acutely aware of what was happening and extraordinarily disturbed, as I was, because from New York City, we all knew who he was and what he was. He was the joke of New York, aside from many things. So I just felt like the country was going in the wrong direction.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to get out early. And also, really, I didn't want to work 6 days a week, 14 hours a day. I just didn't.
Right.
I said, this life is short, and there's so much beauty to it. And why not go somewhere where I can experience that, and also not be completely involved in this consumerism
Mm-hmm.
that to me was kind of soul-sucking.
It was.
It's like, oh, I'm going to go on Amazon and get this, or I'm going to go buy this, or always shopping or thinking about buying.
I have 2 days off per week, and I'm going to spend both of those days at a Costco, a Walmart, and a mall.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And here, none of that.
No.
No. I've been here living full-time 6 years. I can't tell you how few things I've bought except vegetables and beans, and and it's different.
And it's cool because for those little things, like there's no such thing as a food desert here.
No.
I was having a conversation recently trying to explain the concept of, a lack of access to fresh foods or markets to an Albanian friend of mine, and they just didn't understand. They were just like, why doesn't someone open up a local little store?
Well, it's designed that way.
Right,
We're designed to keep people down.
Thanks,
in
Robert
the
Moses.
US. Yes. And having lived on Long Island and know what he did, he was evil man. But here there is access to unbelievable produce, so fresh. And also I love that you eat with the seasons.
Yes.
In the winter you're eating cabbage and beets and things that grow in the summer. It's all the fresh vegetables coming out. So I love that. I don't eat meat, so for me, this is a meat-centric culture, but you can eat incredibly well here without eating meat. It's, for me, everything about the cuisine is perfect.
My health has improved dramatically. I look at photos of myself from 2023, 2024, compared to now, and my face looks completely different just because of the lack of processed foods. And
oh, no processed
yeah,
foods.
no processed food. One thing that I recall you telling me about your move is, unlike Sam and I, you packed up a container, you had your antiques, your collectible, and you shipped it over here.
Yes.
What was that process like?
It was actually very simple. It really was, surprisingly. I wanted to bring a lot of artwork here. So that's the one thing I couldn't let go.
Mm-hmm.
And so doing that, I said, okay, there are a few other things that I'll bring with me. On the US side, it was easy. On the Albanian side, not so much.
Tell me more.
Basically, I hired a company that was from Kosovo to bring the container from Dures here to Saranda down south. And when they got here, they kind of held me up for money.
Oh.
They were like, well, I got your container, and that'll be an extra $5,000. And I was like, oh, hell no. It came down to, fortunately, I knew Albanians here who helped me with that and mitigated the situation. But you have to be very careful who you're working with.
Absolutely.
You know, on the US side, like I said, it was much simpler. Here, I'd be very careful that you knew the people who were, you know, you were dealing with on the transport end.
And that you have, you know, local friends who are able to help you out if something like that does go wrong.
Yeah.
I know that you introduced us to Anila, who helped us a lot when Sam had our car towed.
Yes. You know, it's who you know.
Yeah, exactly. She was able to call up her friend at the port police, and they were like, it wasn't us, it was probably the city.
Yep.
And then we drove over there and were able to pick it up. But of course, I was immediately nervous, like, look, of course that we bought a car in Albania and the car has been stolen. And I think the thing
that doesn't happen here.
Yeah, the thing that I was so relieved is that every single person I talked to and that I relayed that to was like, yeah, that's not what happened. Your car got towed.
Your car got towed.
It didn't get stolen.
And that's one thing that I would have to say that immediately struck me here was how safe it is.
Yeah, especially as a woman. Can you talk more? A single woman.
Yeah.
Talk a little more about safety, because I think that's completely underappreciated about this region of the world.
It is, and when I would tell people in the U.S., or my daughter lives in Germany, and she would say, my mother's moving to Albania, and they would be like, what? And all anybody thinks about is that movie Taken with Liam Neeson.
I have not seen this movie, but
you have to see it.
All right.
You have to see it. It's just about human trafficking and, you know, and the Albanian mob. And look, it exists. It's everywhere. But here on a day-to-day level, I have never, ever felt safer in a country than I do in Albania.
Hands down, absolutely.
You know, I would walk the streets of Tirana at 1 o'clock in the, not walk the streets, but I'd go someplace, say at 1 o'clock in the morning in Tirana, and never thought twice about it.
Right.
Here in Saranda, I would leave my pocketbook on the chair and my phone on the table and not think twice about it. While in the U.S., you know, you're holding your bag close, or Italy, or Spain, or anywhere.
Or in the U.K., they have those phone snatchers that'll just come snatch your phone out of your hand right when you're on the way. Yeah. So, that's not tolerated here. They just won't,
it just
the police
doesn't
in the community
happen.
will not tolerate that level of disorder.
It is so much safer. I mean, even the other day, I'm watching this little girl who was walking in front of me, and she had her phone sticking out of her back pocket. And I'm thinking, anywhere else in the world, that would be gone in 2 seconds. And really, the only time we have problems here with mostly petty crime is when the tourists are here.
Right. And it's the tourists that are the ones committing the petty crime.
Yep. The Albanians will, it is truly the place that I have felt the safest in my life.
Absolutely. That's a feeling that I share as well, that when I tell my friends back in the United States this, they don't believe me or understand what I'm talking about.
I know.
And I think it's a combination of A, they've never been here before, and B, when they have come to the Mediterranean, they go to Spain, Barcelona or Rome,
Right.
and
they get
they get
pickpocketed.
pickpocketed.
Yep.
I've told the story before about being a victim of crime every single time I go through the Rome Central Terminal Station.
Yeah.
Albania does not have any sort of
Nothing
that level
like
of crime
that.
problem.
Nothing like that.
Not at all.
No, and I used to work with the Italian government and had to be in Italy quite a lot. And I remember even I was in Naples a lot, and the Italians that I'd be driving with, I'd come up to a stoplight and they'd be like, just go. Why are you stopping? We'll get robbed, Somebody will jump in the window and just steal your purse. Never happened here.
Never. Yeah, it's the level of desperation that doesn't really...
Yeah, it's, it just was never done here.
Mm-mm. Well, it would not have been tolerated under
No.
the communist regime.
No, and still there's, I say it like, Albanians look out for each other very much, So that carries through, and they have a real pride in that their country is a safe place for all.
Right, absolutely. Let's have some wine and talk about what else we want to talk about.
Yes, we can say gazur.
Gazur. What do you think of the Albanian wine?
It's not on my top 10 list. I put it as drinkable.
Drinkable.
But it's getting better.
Yes, improving every year.
Yes, it is. And, now there are more agro-tourism places. There are more vineyards. It's definitely changed. When I first came here, there was hardly any white wine. It was just not a thing.
Really?
Yeah, it was only red wine, mostly homemade type. That's changed, and will continue to change.
I love the Raki. The Raki is my favorite, or one of my favorite parts about Albania.
You're brave.
Yes.
You're very brave.
It's so efficient and so tasty.
It is efficient.
Although I cannot imagine waking up and starting my day with a Raki and espresso.
No.
But mainly that's because I'm not a coffee person.
So no coffee for you.
Yeah, exactly. Just double the Raki. From your perspective, for someone thinking about retiring or leaving the U.S., why is now a good time to leave the U.S. in retirement?
Well, your dollar is going nowhere in the U.S. I mean, really, everything is going up.
Yeah.
And here even though I'll have to say, since I've been here, I retired early. I've seen my income drop 20% because of what this regime is doing in the U.S., which is sad. That too will change one day, but
what were the exchange rates like when you initially came?
More than 1-to-1.
Okay, wow.
Now it's 1-to-0.8.
0.8, yeah.
Which is more than a 20% drop in my income. But the U.S. has gotten much less affordable. Healthcare is impossible. I mean, have one accident.
Yeah.
You're done.
You're medically bankrupt.
Yes. And here, in Tirana, they have very good medical care. And if you become a resident, you also have, health care.
Can you talk a little bit about your experience with residency? As I understand, you went the business pathway to residency.
Well, not initially.
Okay.
The first initially applied for 5-year residency, which I got because I had a 5-year lease on an apartment. The residency requirements have been changing over the years. I've seen that happen. But after my 5 years, I got permanent residency. And the only way I could get the permanent residency was having a business, which I had anyway, is having a business here. So that's a pathway. If I wanted to, I own an apartment here. If I wanted to do it through the ownership of an apartment, I would have to keep applying.
And renewing every year?
Renewing,
yeah.
yes. And I wanted permanent residency because I'm not going back. I am not going back no matter what. I love to be able to afford a lifestyle where on not a large income, I can still go out to eat 8-10 times a month, go out with friends, go to lunch, to dinner, travel to beaches, do things.
Experience the most beautiful coastline,
Yeah.
you know, just a walk or a short drive away.
Yeah. And I could never do that in New York.
No.
I mean, one lunch in the Hamptons will bankrupt you. So yeah, it's a big difference.
Tell me a little bit about your experience. So you're a homeowner now,
Yes.
but initially you were rented.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about what your experience was like and when and why you decided to invest and buy a property?
I came here not sure that I wanted to buy a property. I've owned properties since I was in my 20s. I knew what comes with that. So I came here saying, I'll just rent and see, because rentals were rather cheap. They've been going up some, but after a while, I just decided that, you know, my money's not really doing me any good in the US. And there was a short window of time where I was able to buy that, where the dollar was high, 2.5 years ago for like 2 minutes. And, and I bought, and I'm very happy I did, you know, and it's still affordable. And, you know, you don't have all the expenses as a homeowner that you do in the US. I mean, if you look at my electric bill or my internet bill, it's like less than 1/20th of what it was in the US.
Anytime I feel like I have a high electric bill, I have to remind myself what electric bills were like in the US. Yeah.
It's just amazing how different it is. And yeah, and you don't have the real estate taxes that you did in the US. So it was worth it to me. Totally.
You want to tell the camera why they should like and subscribe to our channel?
I absolutely would, because really, if you want to make a change in your life, if you want to find some place incredible and beautiful and different and affordable, Albania is, I cannot tell you, I have not had one regret in 6 years of living here full time, that I would never.
You heard it here first, guys. And if you need more advice on how to make that journey and trip, please do subscribe to our channel, Smile Abroad. We bring you regular updates and content on this topic. Natasha, thank you very much. I appreciate you being here and sharing your journey.
I'm so glad that you guys are doing this to help a lot of people make the change, because it's difficult. You know, I understand. I mean, leaving, you know, your security of, well, what was secure at home is hard. You know, family, friends, the places you're used to, and a whole different life. But I don't regret it for 1 second.
Neither do we. Well, thank you very much. Gazuar. Here's to Albania. Hope to see you here soon.
Yeah, for sure.